Do you think that one of those watershed moments, I mean, this is again into the prediction side of things, and sorry about that, but I'm curious because it seems as though the next presidential election here in the United States is going to be one of those watershed moments. And it's actually, you also discuss in your book, Privacy is Power, how, Cambridge Analytica created all of these data from Facebook to persuade voters into one side or the other, and even just harness information to target them. And so that was more or less the algorithm side of it all. Now it seems as though this election will be featured by AI. Do you see AI influencing more and more this presidential cycle? And would that be like a wake up moment where we said, no, you know what, we've crossed the line. Here we need to hire Carissa to be our advisor for AI in the White House?
So it could be. I don't think anyone knows, but it could be. So it could be that, days from before before voting, there is a deepfake, and even though people kind of suspect it's a deepfake, it might still have a big effect enough to sway the results of an election. We don't know. The fact that that's even conceivable is a pretty bad sign. We should put rules in place so that is clearly kind of impossible to happen. And so that should give us kind of reason to pause and reason to act as quickly as possible. It might be that we're lucky. It might be that, social media companies at the last minute put kind of rules in place. It might be that, we just get sheer lucky. Or it might be that we are more robust than it seems. I don't know. But we should definitely be thinking about these things and learning from experience and fast.
Yeah, one of the big themes in your book in the later chapters is how, these consumer appliances also have created this genie box that harness all of our data. One surprising theme, or rather one surprising idea that you shared with us, Carissa, in Privacy is Power, is how, a Samsung TV was connected to, I think it was like 500 other accounts, or
I think it was 700 in 15 minutes, something like that. That's crazy.
Exactly, even worse. So 500 was already worse, so 700 is awful. But all of these appliances, everyone has Alexa in their phone, in their house. Siri is probably listening to me right now, and it's probably gonna pop up, as I said, Siri. But the next feature of what's happening here is it started with the Touch ID, right? We gave Apple and we gave all of our tech companies the Touch ID. Right now it's Face ID, so they have our fingerprints and they have our faces. And now with Apple Vision Pro, they literally have goggles in our eyes, and they have a ton of information that I don't even know. I saw that Google can predict a lot of diseases with eyes. And so we are, on one hand, the reason why I ask this is because we have the power to choose to consume those things. But at the other hand, the cautionary tale is, they're going to listen and they're going to watch and they're going to literally harness that data. And on the other hand, we're crazy about these gadgets. We're crazy about having the next Apple Vision Pro. We're crazy about having these things. And so how should we navigate all of this turmoil in terms of, understanding the trade-offs between them having access to my retina for 5 hours straight, moving like crazy, and on the other hand, enjoying a movie on Netflix while I'm on the mountains?
Well, it's partly kind of maturing. I think we're in a very kind of nascent phase of the digital age, and we're still kind of very kind of dazzled by these sparkly gadgets. And it's only with time that we realize what we're really paying. And so, for instance, when I'm in a room full of people in tech who are actually building these algorithms, and I ask them, like, who here would choose an AI for a doctor? Like, nobody's hand goes up, right? And it's partly because they know better what's going on. And they are taking their kids to schools with those screens. So they have learned before we have, because they are designing the products. But I think, as experience goes on, so more and more I hear people say, like, one of their interests is being offline, which that didn't used to be the case at all. Like, that wasn't a thing. And yeah, it makes me kind of chuckle every time I hear it. And at the same time, like, there's such an opportunity here. There's such a business opportunity for anyone who wants to do good tech that is also private, because we have very solid evidence about how when you give people the choice, when you actually give them the choice between two products that are equally good, just one of them gives them privacy and another one doesn't, people choose privacy, and they will. And so I am eager for the companies who are smart enough to see that. And there will be companies, and we will have better products, and people will choose them. So there's also that. There's also the thing about national security. So this lack of privacy is so dangerous for countries that either they will prevent something very bad from happening by placing rules, or something very bad will happen, and again, we will learn from experience. And just to give you a sense of how bad it is, I was reading about this app called Romantic AI. It's a service that allows you to create your own AI girlfriend. And Mozilla carried out a privacy analysis. And even though the app says that it won't sell people's data, researchers figured out that it sent out 24,354 ad trackers within 1 minute of use. That's how bad it is.
Wow. That's so...
Don't date an AI.
Yeah, well, I'm getting an AI girlfriend. I'm like 1,000, 2,000 companies are also in our date with us. It's great.
Yeah, more like 24,000.
Oh, 24,000. No, even better, like a whole stadium. They're just watching. Carissa, one of the concerns I also had is, this is creepy in itself. But on the other hand, is, we're also obsessed in learning about our heritage, about our roots. A lot of people are using 23andMe. You discussed it in Privacy is Power. And with what happened last year, on October 7th, in Israel, we saw user data targeting Ashkenazi Jews, and it was leaked online. That was the first moment. I've never done 23andMe. That was the first moment when it really confirmed that this information, it's not only threatening rather, that they sell it. But on the other hand, it can be leaked. It can get hacked, and people with bad intentions can use it. And so can you share with us this part of the equation that we might not be really aware of?
Yeah, so that is in the nature of privacy, that when you think you don't need it, then you don't worry about it, you give out data, and then by the time you realize, oh, this is bad, now I need it, it's too late because the data is already out there. So that happened in Nazi Germany and Nazi Europe. Nazis getting a hold of data to find people. And that is the danger of having a structure of surveillance, that you never know who's going to use it and for what purposes. And that's why privacy is so important in principle, even when you think you don't need it, precisely because you think you don't need it. And that's when you actually need it the most, because it's when you're more vulnerable and more likely to share more data than you would if you realize that you will need it in the future. So just as an example, you might not be very sensitive about your health data because you're perfectly healthy, but you will not be healthy forever. That's part of the human condition. And it is also part of the human condition that people get discriminated against for health issues. So it is precisely when we think that we don't need privacy that we should guard it the most, because we're not as aware of the dangers. And if you think about how privacy evolved, imagine like being in the savannah somewhere. If somebody was looking at you, you were nervous because it meant you could be prey, right? And if a lion is looking at you, they're not interested in your haircut. They're interested in eating you. And that hasn't changed all that much. When somebody's watching you, you are vulnerable to them. And you notice that physically when you're in a dark alley. It's just like online, you don't see who's watching and it doesn't feel like anything. But it doesn't mean that it's not there, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't make you vulnerable. And you don't know how vulnerable and what data point is the one that might harm you.